Part 34. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 333. 331. My grandfather is 1.9 meters tall, strong, and powerful, with dark skin. He is a tough guy and illiterate. He only became literate after attending the literacy class at work. On the other hand, my grandmother is a young lady from a wealthy family. She is well educated, has a student haircut, wears a well-fitting floral silk cheongsam, fair skin, and big eyes. She is still a beauty in ancient times and now. Why are you laughing? Mr. Huo was unhappy. Am I not good enough for your grandma? Mr. Huo glared at Huo Yingjia and Huo Yingjun. You're not smiling, it's just that you and grandma are a match made in heaven, Huo Yingjia said quickly. Fortunately, the men in the family are all very tall. They inherited it from their grandfather, and most of them look like grandma. I just said something about He Tian Tian, but you are not happy. It shows that the girl is really good. I also received some information here to prove that He Tian Tian is good, Mr. Huo said. Earn a future and earn face. That's our men's business. We don't expect women, but when you marry a woman, you can't be petty, otherwise you won't be able to raise good children. Hearing this, Huo Yingjia finally breathed a sigh of relief and said, Thank you, Grandpa. When we get married, I will have more children to honor you. Haha, I like to hear this, Mr. Huo said, and then he thought that his eldest grandson and Zhao Huan were not married this year. Young Jun, I will give you an ultimatum. You have 2 good days before May next year. If you don't get married yet, if you get married, then don't get married anymore. If I say this in front of you, I will also say it in front of Huan's family. Grandpa, we agreed to get married in April, Huo Yingjun quickly explained. We must get married and let you have great-grandchildren as soon as possible. Brothers Huo Jekan and Huo Jekian looked at their father and son talking over there, quite dumbfounded and unable to get a word in. Dad, you are digressing from the topic. Have you ever found out who is making things difficult for your future grandson-in-law? Huo Jekan asked. Time is tight, and there are more important things, so there is no time to brag. After hearing this, Mr. Huo smacked his lips, still not satisfied. I found it, it's the Zhou family, Mr. Huo said. I only got the news recently. The Zhou family, Huo Jekian frowned. Dad, do you think this is just for Yingjia, or for our Huo family? Is there any difference? Mr. Huo asked. Huo Jekian was choked up and speechless, feeling very aggrieved. It was clearly you who disliked He Tian Tian just now, not me, the uncle. It makes no difference, Huo Jekian smiled bitterly. Then what should we do now? It's very simple. After destroying the Zhou family, Grandpa Zhou and the old witch in the Zhou family can't make trouble, Mr. Huo said, but now is not the time to take action. We have made arrangements. What is missing is an opportunity. To deal with such a person, if you can't hit the target with one blow, you can only stand still and wait for the opportunity to move. Got it, Grandpa? Yes, Father. What should I do if Tian Tian is in danger over there? Huo Yingjia asked nervously. You know, my work unit is closed and I can't see He Tian Tian. I want to bring He Tian Tian to work. But she is young and we can't get married. I miss her all day long. After hearing this, Huo Jekan felt a bit melancholy, as if he had grown up and couldn't control his father. He patted his son on the shoulder and said, Son, even if you like He Tian Tian very much, just keep this in your heart. It doesn't matter if you say it in front of us, please don't say it in front of your mother. Huo Yingjia frowned and said, Why? Mom likes Tian Tian very much. In fact, Huo Yingjia knew the reason, but now he was just a 20-year-old boy who didn't understand the so-called relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law at all, so he could only pretend to be stupid. Your mother likes Tian Tian, but when she sees her son who has worked hard to raise him, she is thinking about other women. She will be sad and unhappy, Huo Jekan explained, giving his son a warning. After hearing this, Huo Yingji said unconvinced, "It's true that she is my mother, and I am filial to her, but she is your wife. If you like her, just feel sorry for her." Ha ha ha, Huo Jekan smiled, "Who does this kid Yingji follow?" As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes turned to Mr. Huo. "What's wrong?" Mr. Huo glared, "Isn't it natural for a man to love his wife? If he doesn't love his wife, how can he love her next door to Lao Li? Lao Li from next door? Haha, it's very similar to Lao Wang who lived next door in later generations." What Huo Yingji admires most is that his grandfather, whose education level is only above the literacy level, can understand everything no matter what he does. In the previous life, the Huo family was able to avoid so many setbacks and disasters, which had a lot to do with Grandpa. Now that he has joined, Grandpa has more information and can make more accurate and faster decisions, so the Huo family rises step by step in the fierce struggle. Very rare. Best greetings, Grandpa. Huo Yingji clasped his hands in fists. Mr. Huo's words greatly benefited everyone. The five gentlemen chatted until very late, and Mrs. Huo urged them to go back to their room to rest. The next few days are not only a day to celebrate the new year, but also a day to visit each other. Mr. Huo received an invitation from his top boss, and Huo Yingji and Huo Yingjun's names were mentioned in it, so he took his two grandsons to see the top boss. When you get inside and see the big boss, you two should be more serious. Don't be as playful and smiling as you are outside, Mr. Huo explained, but if the boss asks you questions, don't be nervous when you answer, just speak slowly. Yes, Grandpa, Huo Yingji agreed. He had seen no matter how big the scene was in his previous life and could handle it. On the other hand, as an elder brother, Huo Yingjun was very nervous. "Yingji, aren't you nervous?" Huo Yingjun asked in a low voice, feeling as if his little heart was about to jump out. Huo Yingji smiled and said, "Brother, being nervous will only make your performance worse. If that's the case, why are you still so nervous?" "That's what I say, but there are a few people who are really not nervous," Huo Yingji said. "You are a monster, you don't look like a vigorous young man. Sometimes you are calm, even more stable than my dad." Haha, Huo Yingji smiled. "Experience and mentality do require age." Huo Yingji acknowledged this. "Don't worry, we are very good. That's why the big boss will meet us. You just need to be the same as usual. Come on, don't be too reserved. We are all juniors in front of the old man. Even if there is something wrong, the old man will not blame him. At most, he will scold me." When Huo Yingjun heard this, he rubbed his nose, gave a thumbs up, and said, "You are still taller." Mr. Huo and his grandson were waiting in the waiting room. The big boss has many people to meet, and everyone greets each other. The people inside were even more envious when they saw Mr. Huo and his two outstanding grandsons. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 334. When there is comparison, there is harm. When my son and grandson compare with those of the Huo family, I immediately want to stuff them back and start a new life. After a while, it was finally Mr. Huo's turn. Huo Yingji and Huo Yingjun followed Mr. Huo. Seeing Mr. Huo come in, the three of them looked past Mr. Huo and saw the two young men behind them. "Stop standing, Xiao Huo, come and sit down," Zhou Jinghuai greeted. There were several chairs beside him, he was very familiar. Mr. Huo smiled and said, "Thank you for your compliments." Mr. Li nodded and praised, "Your two grandsons are extraordinary. Not only is his talent extraordinary, his abilities are also outstanding." Zhou Jinghuai said, "This year, Yingjun has made great contributions. If he hadn't found a breakthrough, our relationship with Country M would not have gone so smoothly." "Oh," Mr. Li became interested, "is this Jishu you are talking about?" Yes, they found Chi Shu's mother who is still alive, Zhou Jinghuai said. As soon as Chi Shu heard that his mother was still alive, he promised us on the spot. Now we have made significant progress. When it comes to this matter, Chi Shu brought it up, I want to see my mother. Mr. Li, it is not appropriate for Chi Shu to leave country M at the moment, he will probably disappoint Chi Shu. Haha, Mr. Li smiled kindly, Chi Shu can't come back. If his mother is in good health, we can let his mother go over. I'm not afraid. Zhou Jinghuai didn't finish his sentence, but everyone knew what he meant. Mr. Li was confident and said, don't be afraid, they will come back. Huo Yingjun originally thought that he would have to spend a lot of words, but he didn't expect that the problem was solved before he said anything. This is also good, it will be more conducive to subsequent work. Okay, I will arrange it as soon as possible, Zhou Jinghuai said. Mr. Li looked at Huo Yingjun, nodded and said, yes, he is a good young man. This rating is very high. The older generation is getting older, and it will eventually be up to the young people. Only young people who are capable have hope. Mr. Liang is right, if young people are strong, China will be strong. Thank you, Mr. Li, for the compliment. This junior will work harder, Huo Yingjun said excitedly. The previous hard work disappeared when he heard this compliment. Mr. Li talked to me and even praised me. This is the greatest affirmation for him. In this era, the worship of heroes is deeply rooted. However, the reason why a great man becomes a hero must be that he has talents and extraordinary courage. Mr. Li looked at Huo Yingjia and said with stern eyes, you are not bad, you have a share of the credit. This is the honor of this junior, Huo Yingjia said neither humble nor arrogantly, it is also the pride of this junior. Well, we are lagging behind and we still need to work hard, old Li said, in peaceful times, we have to work hard to catch up. Huo Yingjia felt a little sad when he heard this. Yes, we will work hard, no matter what, Huo Yingjia replied, he has selfish motives, but he hopes that the motherland will be strong. Later, Mr. Li and Zhou Jinghuai spoke to Mr. Huo in common language, showing kindness and affirmation. Half an hour later, the three of them came out of the house. When they came out, the three people accepted everyone's attention again. Some are envious, others are jealous. But everyone also understands that it cannot change the Huo family's gradual upward trend. In the final analysis, it is because the people of the Huo family are capable and do things that benefit the country and the people, both public and private, and they are entitled to be praised by everyone. After Mr. Huo came out, he didn't stay long. He exchanged greetings with a few familiar families and left with his two grandsons. Sitting in the car, Huo Yingjun breathed a sigh of relief and said with emotion, I was so nervous just now, I was so close to the hero. Haha, you are a worthless thing. Although Mr. Huo cursed, the pride in his tone was beyond words, and he was very proud. Grandpa, I am really worthless in front of heroes, Huo Yingjun said with a straight face, I must get this thing done this year without making any mistakes. Mr. Huo and Huo Yingjun kept talking. Huo Yingjia kept smiling faintly at the side and said nothing. Yingjia, please tell me how you feel. Huo Yingjun turned to look at Huo Yingjia from the seat in front. This younger brother was as calm as his grandfather, like a little old man. Huo Yingjia smiled and said, I do things with a clear conscience and can face everyone calmly. You kid, Mr. Huo said with a smile, you are too old, but it's okay. If you are a researcher, if you are too exaggerated, you will not leave a good impression on others. I am very satisfied with your performance today. Reply, let's have a few drinks at home. Grandpa, I'll accompany you, Huo Yingjun said quickly, he was a little greedy for wine. When working outside, you can't be careless for a moment. When you sleep, you want to sleep with your eyes open. How dare you drink? Even when work requires drinking, he can only drink a little and never dares to drink to the fullest. You don't have such worries at home, you can drink it as much as you want. Huo Yingzhi still looks neither arrogant nor impetuous. To be honest, I really deserve a beating. Even if he drinks at night, Huo Yingzhi is very restrained. Not as free and easy as Huo Yingjun, but as reserved as a middle-aged man. Time flies so fast, it's already the 4th day of the Lunar New Year. Huo Yingzhi packed his luggage and prepared to visit He Tian. Mrs. Huo, Zhang Lifang heard that Huo Yingzhi was going to visit He Tian, and hurriedly packed up a lot of delicious food and drinks at home, asking Huo Yingzhi to take them. The eldest sister-in-law of the Huo family felt even more sour when she saw her mother-in-law and sister-in-law being so nice to an outsider. This is not a member of the Huo family, so why is she so nice to her daughter? Her daughter is still suffering outside, and no one mentions it, and she is not nice to her future daughter-in-law Zhao Huan. Although she doesn't like Zhao Huan very much, she is unhappy to be compared with others. When Zhang Lifang was packing up, she hid in the house and turned a blind eye to it. This year, she must bring Yinky home next year. She can't let Yinky, a little girl, spend the new year outside. It's too pitiful. Although the eldest sister-in-law of the Huo family has not forgotten what her daughter did to Huo Yingzhi, she was also deceived and cheated by Zhou Yuan. Her daughter has suffered so much outside, she must know that she is wrong. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 335. 333. Zhang Lifang saw that her mother-in-law continued to clean up and her sister-in-law seemed unhappy, so she whispered, "Mom, stop cleaning up. I think my sister-in-law is unhappy." Mrs. Huo didn't care and said with a smile, "She has been like this since years ago. She misses Yinky. I can understand it because I miss her too, but that doesn't mean I can forgive Yinky. That girl did too much. Forgiving Yinky so easily will not only make Yinky unable to change her bad habits, but will also make them worse." "No way," Zhang Lifang was dubious. "Huo Yinky wouldn't be that stupid, right? Don't believe it, Huo Yinky is spoiled by your sister-in-law." Mrs. Huo said, "I said before that a girl can be spoiled and pampered, but she must understand the truth. That girl Yinky is smart, but she just doesn't understand the truth. Wishful thinking. If she doesn't reflect on herself now, she will suffer a big loss because of this temper." Zhang Lifang doesn't have a daughter, but she actually likes Huo Yinky quite a lot, but that was when Huo Yinky was a child, and the older she got, the less lovable she was. One year, their family came to celebrate the New Year, and this girl said, "Second aunt, you come to our house to celebrate the New Year every year. We will also go to your house to celebrate the New Year at some time. Let's change the place and have some fun." Although Zhang Lifang could understand that Huo Yinky meant what she said, Zhang Lifang felt uncomfortable. There is an old man and an old lady here. The two families have not yet been separated. This is also their home. In order to pave the way for the boss, her husband Huo Jekan had to take up a foreign job and be away from home all year round. This is nothing. They are brothers. For the Huo family, one is inside and the other is outside. Both sides are well informed. When I saw them packing their things just now, the sister-in-law had a donkey-like face, as if she was taking her things, and she looked unhappy. "Sister-in-law is not happy, how about we also pack some and send them to Yinky?" Zhang Lifang asked. Seeing what her mother-in-law wanted, if she was willing to send them, she would separate some and send them to Huo Yinky. "No," Mrs. Huo said, "I love Yinky more than anyone else, but she did something wrong and is being punished. Let her reflect seriously. Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo have good intentions, but some people don't understand. For example, the Huo family's sister-in-law plans to secretly send something to her daughter after the Chinese New Year. As for Zhou Yuanyuan, in order to win over Huo Yingqi, she also sent something to Huo Yingqi early. When Huo Yingqi was alone in the workplace and lonely, she received something from Zhou Yuanyuan, which made her even more convinced that Zhou Yuanyuan was her good sister. In this way, we are going further and further down the road of paranoia. Because of her, the Huo family experienced the greatest setback and crisis. When Huo Yingzhe was about to leave, Huo Yingjun brought several books for learning English, including a thick dictionary. "Thank you for your hard work, sister-in-law." Huo Yingjun smiled. "When she completes the task, I will give her credit." Huo Yingzhe took it, turned it over, and said with a smile, "No need, they are all from my family. Grandfather has promised to send someone to secretly protect He Tiantian before the Zhou family falls." Before the time came, Huo Yingzhe couldn't force his grandfather. However, the good days of the Zhou family were short-lived. After the fire was removed, Zhou Yuanyuan could no longer stand up. At the same time, Huo Yingzhe also thought of the little turtle and said, "Is Tiantian very kind to you?" The little spin turtle nodded his head repeatedly and said, "Do you want me to help He Tiantian get revenge?" "Yes." Huo Yingzhe smiled bitterly. "You know, the forces in the family cannot touch Zhou Yuanyuan for the time being, so normal channels are no longer available." The little spin turtle scratched his head, a little embarrassed, and said, "I want to kill her directly, but I recently realized that I can't kill at will, otherwise it will affect my and my master's practice." Huh, Huo Yingzhe was a little disappointed. He had promised to kill everyone. Seeing his owner's disappointment, the little spinner quickly explained, "I can't take Zhou Yuanyuan's life, but I can use a bad luck spell, or I can put pimples on her face to get rid of the ringworm." Hearing this, Huo Yingzhe thought of what little spinner turtle had done in Qijia village. Those women who had made things difficult for He Tiantian no longer dared to go out because of little spinner turtle's revenge. "That's okay," Huo Yingzhe said, "it's up to you." "Don't worry, master," the little turtle agreed. In the middle of the night, the little spinner turtle took advantage of the darkness and left, and didn't come back until 3 in the morning. "When I came back, I looked exhausted." "Little spin turtle, how are you?" Huo Yingzhe asked. When he was in Qijia village, little spin turtle had to deal with several people, and he was never so tired. The little spin turtle opened his eyes, took a few deep breaths, absorbed the divine power emanating from his master, and gained some energy. "Because I accidentally fell into the formations set up by the Zhou family," little spin turtle said. "Those formations seemed to be a gathering of wealth, which gave me a bad feeling, as if there was something filthy. But I didn't have time to study, so I just switched the door of life and the door of death, which took a lot of effort. Then I went to Zhou Yuanyuan's room, put some ringworm on her body, and put 2 freckles on her face. That freckle will gradually grow into a mole. Haha, the dynamic mole was recently developed by it, and it's very fun." Huo Yingzhe was shocked and asked, "Are there practitioners in this world?" The little spin turtle thought for a while and said, "There should be some. After all, when the god realm was separated, there were still many low-level cultivators who had not yet become immortals. It's just that the spiritual energy here is thin, and it is estimated that no one has become an immortal. At most it can prolong life, but it can't ascend." After hearing this, Huo Yingzhe felt slightly reassured and nodded, "That's good. I'm afraid there are immortal cultivators and superpowers everywhere. How can ordinary people like us live?" Hearing this, the little turtle was embarrassed. The master was too humble. Didn't the master know that he was the biggest alien in the world? Forget it, no matter how much it talks now, the owner will never believe in its ability. Or after the master's ability awakens, he will know how powerful he is. Early the next morning, Huo Yingzhe took the earliest train, and Huo Yingjun personally sent his brother to visit his sister-in-law. His future career depends on these two people. After getting on the train, Zhang Aijun frowned and said, "Comrade Huo, I found 4 people following us, but I don't think they are hostile forces. Instead, they are protecting you just like us." Huo Yingzhi smiled and nodded. "Grandpa sent someone to protect me. In fact, it was not sent by Mr. Huo, but by the big boss above." But he couldn't tell others, he could only say that it was sent by his grandfather. "That's good." After hearing this, Zhang Aijun and Li Yunsong said, "As long as they are not opponents, otherwise the two of them can't beat those 4 people. December 13th is the Nanjing Massacre Memorial Day. Remember the martyrs and the innocent people who died, and cherish the peaceful life now. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 336. 334. It was peaceful and peaceful along the way. When they arrived in Huai City, Director Liao personally sent a car to see Huo Yingzhi off. When Huo Yingzhi arrived at Kijia village, it had already been a whole day. This was the fastest way except by plane. Today is the evening of the 6th day of the Lunar New Year. He Tian is cooking at home. Just now, her father cut a handful of leeks from the greenhouse in the back mountain. He Tian is going to make a leek box with 2 eggs in it, which is fresh and delicious. This time, Huo Yingzhi knew that Grandma Chi San's house was home. Dad needed someone to guide him, so he came directly. It was already evening, and few people from Kijia village came to visit. He Tian was also surprised when she heard the knock on the door. Mom is in the bathroom, rubbing Dad's back. Grandma Chi San was in the house and couldn't hear the sound, so He Tian could only put down the leeks in her hand and open the door. With a squeak, the wooden door opened. In the darkness, you can vaguely see the outlines of people outside. "Brother Yingzhi," He Tian said in surprise, "are you really here?" Under the cover of darkness, Huo Yingzhi hugged He Tian, kissed her, and said, "Yes, I'm here." Zhang Aijun, Li Yunzong, those on the side are envious. As for the 4 people in the distance with a black line on each end, this Huo Yingzhi is really a passionate person. He has traveled across thousands of mountains and rivers just to visit his partner. At this time, Grandma Chi San in the room heard the sound and shouted, "You bastard, come in quickly." "Grandma Chi, how are you?" Huo Yingzhi asked kindly, stepping forward to salute the old man. "Okay, stop being polite and sit inside," Grandma Chi San said, "it's warm. It's very cold outside at night." Zhang Aijun, Li Yunzong, and Huo Yingzhi put down their things. At this time, Wang Shuping came out of the bathroom, extremely happy. Huo Yingzhi came here all because of his daughter. The future son-in-law is nervous about his daughter, so she is naturally very happy. "Yingzhi, sit down quickly and take a rest." "I'll go cook," Wang Shuping said with a smile. "Old He, hurry up, Yingzhi is here, don't wait any longer." He Jingyu, who was taking a shower, quickly dried his body, put on clothes and came out, his head still wet. This son-in-law came at the right time. "Uncle He, it's cold outside, please dry your hair quickly," Huo Yingzhi reminded with a smile. He couldn't let his future father-in-law catch a cold just because he was here. The caring little cotton-padded jacket He Tian quickly gave her father a dry towel. "Dad, brother Yingzhi, you guys chat while I cook," He Tian said. With so many people coming, the family was not prepared enough. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, "There are 4 more people outside. Tian should do more." "Ah," He Tian was stunned. There were 4 more people. It had only been half a year, but the standards had improved a lot. Yes, 4 people is a bit too much. Huo Yingzhi was a little embarrassed. If he stayed here for half a month like last time, he would probably finish the food at home. "It's okay, I'll do it right now. There's enough food at home," He Tian explained, then turned around to cook. "It's a big task to feed 11 people." After hearing this, Wang Shuping saw that there was not enough leek stuffing, so she chopped up the bacon at home, fried it in a pot, and served it with cabbage stuffing. She would add some cabbage and bacon stuffing later. It was really cold outside, and it was quite hard for those few people to follow us all the way. Brother Zhang, go and tell the 4 people outside to let them come here, have a meal, and then find a place for them to stay at night. Huo Yingzhi said, "Hey, too many people are troublesome." Grandma Chi-san was stunned and asked, "Is there anyone else outside?" "There are 4 more people," Huo Yingzhi said with a bitter smile. "I'm bothering Grandma Chi." "Haha, that's because you have the ability." Grandma Chi-san smiled. "It doesn't matter, let them in. They are here to protect you. I will talk to the next door and let them live next door to the 2 families. Tian Shuping and Tian Tian lives in the same house, and Tianatian's father goes to live in the back mountain. You, Xiao Zhang, and Xiao Li will still live in your house." "Thank you, Grandma Chi." Huo Yingzhi was slightly relieved when he heard that he had found the answer. "You're welcome to treat me as your own family." Huo Yingzhi smiled and left the food stamps and money when he arrived. Besides, the 4 people outside were also worried, almost freezing to death. Zhang Aijun said, "Please show your ID and I will arrange accommodation for you." A relatively calm man stood up, took out his ID and said, "We are from the security department." It was dark outside and Zhang Aijun couldn't see clearly. He said, "I'll take it in first and take a look. If there's no problem, you can come in again. Please forgive me. This is our job responsibility." "It's understandable," the man smiled. "If they were in other places, they wouldn't be so easy to talk to. But when they got here, food, clothing, housing and transportation were all a problem. If they go directly to a fellow villager's home, there will be a lot of noise, which is not in line with their original intention." After Zhang Aijun took it in for inspection, he was a fellow traveler. So they brought the person in, and Zhang Aijun introduced himself. "My name is Zhang Aijun, you can just call me Xiao Zhang." "I am Li Liang, you can just call me Xiao Li," the man said. "As for the others, there is no need to introduce them." This Xiao Zhang didn't introduce another colleague of his. Grandma Chi-san stopped sitting in the room and wanted to help in the kitchen, but was stopped by Li Yunzong. Li Yunzong lit a fire for Wang Shuping, and Chi-san's grandma took He Tian Tian to the neighbors' houses on both sides and asked them to free up a room and a bed for their guests. Upon hearing that He Tianatian's partner had arrived, the neighbors became even more enthusiastic and agreed quickly, taking out the new quilts and sheets at home and laying them out. Everyone is willing to show kindness to good people who are motivated. He Tian Tian is very grateful. When her father succeeds in Daowen, she can repay them. In the evening, it was a leek box, a cabbage and bacon box, and rice porridge, which was fragrant, crispy, and warm. After dinner, Zhang Aijun arranged for Li Liang and the 4 of them, and then sent He Jingyu to stay at Daowen in Huishan. Wang Shuping and her daughter live in the same house. Zhang Aijun and Li Yunzong took turns on duty. He watched for half the night and Li Yunzong watched for the second half of the night. Li Liang and the others were divided into 2 shifts, one in the morning and the other in the evening. Huo Yingzhi had a lot to say, but there were so many light bulbs that he couldn't keep his eyes open. How could he have a chance to be alone with He Tian Tian? Huo Yingzhi was extremely depressed and could only go to bed early to recharge his batteries and talk to Tian Tian tomorrow. As for some intimate actions, they can only be done secretly. Wang Shuping looked at her daughter who was always smiling and rosy, pinched her little face and said, "It's okay to be shy, but you can't just stare at Yingzhi all the time. Don't be shy at all." "Why don't you watch it?" He Tian Tian retorted, "we get together less and stay apart more. If we don't watch it now, I don't know when we will meet next time." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 337. 335. In the past, Wang Shuping would have scolded her daughter, but not now. When my daughter is older, she has her own thoughts and ways of liking others. As a mother, she can only remind her not to lose herself, and let the rest take its course and follow her feelings. Because love is like this, uncontrollable. Since the partner is a good man, why not let her daughter enjoy the sweetness of love? Okay, just know what's appropriate, Wang Shuping said with a smile. Okay, don't think about it and rest quickly. We have things to do tomorrow. Go to bed right away, He Tian responded repeatedly. There was no chance to talk today, but tomorrow would be fine. He Tian fell asleep with a smile on her lips. The dream was also sweet, and the sky was filled with romantic pink bubbles. Because of Huo Yingjia's love, He Tian has completely abandoned the shadow of age in her previous life and enjoys this precious love. Haha, He Tian laughed in her dream. Wang Shuping, who was sleeping next to her daughter, shook her head silently. You can't stay in college. Early the next morning, Wang Shuping and He Tian got up early. Huo Yingjia, Zhang Aijun, and Li Yunzong came back from their morning jog in their shirts. Seeing this, He Tian quickly handed over the towel and said, Brother Yingjia, wipe your sweat and don't catch a cold. It's okay. I'm used to it. As long as I have time, I will exercise well, Huo Yingjia said with a smile. Only when you have a good body can you work well and have a good future. After busy preparing breakfast, Huo Yingjia asked Li Yunzong and Zhang Aijun to go out. He had something to say to Grandma Qi-san. Grandma Qi-san was smiling, thinking that Huo Yingjia had brought her a secret gift, and she was looking forward to it very much. Brother Yingjia, what's wrong with you? You're so mysterious, and you even pushed him away, He Tian asked in a low voice, puzzled. What a great thing, Huo Yingjia smiled and took out an envelope. After hearing this, He Tian opened her beautiful eyes wide and asked, what a great thing, I want to see it. He Tian's eyes fell on the envelope in Huo Yingjia's hand. Your Majesty Mother, 6 handsome and powerful characters in regular script. This is. He Tian had a vague guess in her heart, is it? Huo Yingjia nodded, walked towards Grandma Qi-san and said, Grandma Qi, don't get excited. It's a good thing to tell you first. You can always take care of yourself. Keep it and enjoy it in the future. Oh, then I can take a good look at what my future blessings will be. Grandma Qi-san didn't care, thinking that the 2 children were teasing her. But when her eyes fell on the words my dear mother, the smile on her face froze, and she tremblingly took the letter handed over by Huo Yingjia. Grandma Qi-san recognized it as her son Qi Shuliang's handwriting. Is her son really alive? Are you really alive? He Tian was worried that Grandma Qi-san would get sick if she got excited. After all, she was too old to be careless. Grandma, this is a good thing. Calm down and take a deep breath. You are a lucky person. You must take care of yourself, He Tian reminded from the side, not wanting anything to happen to Grandma Qi-san. Grandma Qi-san finally came to her senses, patted He Tian's hand, looked at Huo Yingjia, and asked, is he really my son? Isn't it just to make me, an old woman, happy? It's true, Huo Yingjia smiled, Grandma Qi, I'm not the kind of person who lies. Last time you and Tian showed me your old photos, I thought the man above looked familiar, and I didn't think about it for a moment. Get up. When I was about to leave, I remembered that I saw a person in my cousin's house who looked similar to the photo. I calculated that he was about the same age, but I was worried that I would make you happy in vain, so I secretly took it from your house. I secretly took photos from the album. I understand, He Tian suddenly realized, no wonder you wanted to find someone to take photos of us. Did you take Grandma's photo to Uncle Shuliang? Huo Yingjia looked a little embarrassed, nodded, and said, yes, I was really unsure at the time, so I thought of this stupid way. Fortunately, that person is Qi Shuliang, but his name is Qi Shuliang now. Grandma, read the letter. He Tian reminded that Grandma Chi-san had waited for the definite news that her son was alive, a little earlier than in her previous life. But this is okay, at least Grandma Chi-san can be happy for a while longer. Grandma Chi-san opened the letter and wrote in it, "My dear mother, I wish my unfilial son Shuliang to bow down. I hope my mother will forgive my son for being unfilial and unable to fulfill his filial piety in front of his mother. The whole article is a confession of my mother and my deep longing for her." Grandma Chi-san shed tears while watching. After a while, there were too many tears in my eyes, and my eyes became gray and I couldn't see the letter clearly. He Tian quickly took a handkerchief to wipe Grandma Chi-san's tears, and finally finished reading the letter. After a while, Grandma Chi-san calmed down slightly. "Grandma," he Tian said softly, "you cried too, now it's time to laugh. This is a good thing." "Yes, I don't cry anymore, I should laugh," Grandma Chi-san said. "I said before, as long as I know that my son is still alive and well, I can smile." Huo Yingji took out another envelope and said, "Grandma Chi, not only is your son alive and well, but you also have a daughter-in-law from country M, as well as your grandson and granddaughter." Grandma Chi-san held the letter in her hand. He Tian took the second envelope handed over by Huo Yingji, helped Grandma Chi-san open it and took out the 3 photos inside. The first one is a family photo of a family of 4. The second photo is a solo photo of Qi Shulai. The third picture is a photo of Qi Zhengan and Qi Zhenmin. "Grandma, look, you are really full of children and grandchildren now," He Tian smiled. "Congratulations, Grandma." "Congratulations, Grandma." Grandma Chi-san reached out to take the photo and look at it carefully, but there were sticky tears on her hand, so she retracted her hand, washed her hands, wiped them clean, and then came over to get the photo. "The father and son look really alike," Grandma Chi-san said with emotion. "Shuliang looks just like my father when he was young. By the way, where do you think they are? This house shouldn't be from our country H of." "It's not country H, it's country M," Huo Yingji replied. Hearing this, Grandma Chi-san felt a little disappointed and said regretfully, "Oh, it's so far away, on the other side of the earth." "The other side is not far away," He Tian said. "If you can't fly, you can take a cruise. You can get there soon." "Hey, it's so far away and I can't go there," Grandma Chi-san said with emotion. "I only have my son alive and well, so that's fine." Grandma Chi-san knows that the world is in chaos now, and she is worried that her appearance will have a bad influence on her son. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 338. 336. There is a reason why Grandma Chi-san thought so. She believed that her son was filial. If he had no other choice, he would come back to see her. Since he had his own reasons, she did not want to embarrass her son. As long as she knew that her son was fine, it was not important whether she saw him or not. Grandma Chi Tian is right. You can go to see him, Huo Yingji said. Now I will tell you what happened so that you can understand the current situation. Huo Yingji told Grandma Chi-san about Qi Shuliang's situation in country M so that she could understand. From the beginning, Huo Yingji had no intention of deceiving Grandma Chi-san. Not only because Grandma Chi-san was a smart woman who was not easy to deceive, but also because Huo Yingji respected this strong old lady. After hearing this, Grandma Chi-san understood what Huo Yingji meant. "If I just want to visit my son, I don't want to go," Grandma Chi-san said. "That might cause trouble for my son, and I'm old, so I don't want to go. But if it's for justice, even if I have to risk my old bones, I will go." "Grandma." He Tian was moved. "Grandma, You are the most righteous person I have ever seen. Grandma Chi-san waved her hand and said, I don't know whether I understand justice or not, but I know the pain of a mother missing her son. It's not an exaggeration to say that it's heart-wrenching. Now that there is a chance to reunite many people, I must do it. Tell me when to leave, I will go with you at any time. If Shuliang doesn't do his job well, I will not recognize him as my son. Mr. Chi understands justice and has been working hard, Huo Yingja added, admiring the old lady even more. It's still early now, wait a little longer. When the procedures are completed, I will send you there. After the impulse in her heart passed, Grandma Chi-san was embarrassed and said, Where is M? I am an old Chinese lady who cannot speak foreign languages. You have to send someone to follow me. If I get lost abroad, I will never come back. He Tian thought for a while and said, Grandma, don't be afraid. Since they are escorting you there, they will definitely protect you well. Huo Yingji took out a few English books and English dictionaries from the box next to him and said, The next task is yours. The others will follow, but they are outsiders after all. It is better to have your own people around when you are away from home. Besides, can you rest assured that Grandma Chi will go to M alone? I don't worry. He Tian shook her head and took the book and dictionary. Grandma, I will accompany you through all the hardships. I will study hard and learn English to be your little follower. Hearing this, Grandma Chi-san was no longer afraid and said with a smile, I am not afraid with Tian girl following me. Well, I won't say anything more. I have to burn some incense for the old man to make him happy. Our son is not dead, he is alive and well, and he has a great future. Grandma Chi-san was full of joy. She stood on tiptoe and placed the photos and letters of her son's family in front of the photo of the deceased old man. Grandma Chi-san was also interesting. She suddenly thought of the old man's illiteracy, so she read the letter again. Her serious look, in everyone's eyes, was so happy and so persistent. It is not easy for a person to do what Grandma Chi-san did. Almost everyone who has been with Grandma Chi-san will like this strong, kind, and lovely old lady. He Tian went to work in the livestock team, and Huo Yingja followed her, bringing gifts for old man Chi to visit him. Of course, He Tian brought English books and dictionaries to find Professor Wang. He Tian had never learned English systematically, so this was a major test. She had to find a teacher and start with the most basic pronunciation and words. Professor Wang was a mathematician who studied in the United States, and his English was particularly good. She hoped that her English, from the beginning, would be more authentic. When old man Chi saw Huo Yingja coming, he greeted him, Haha, you are here again. I came to see you specially, Huo Yingja said insincerely, and this sounded a bit fake to him. Haha, your little girl is not here, it's rare to receive your letter, let alone come to see me. Old man Chi is not an ordinary polite old man, and he never gives people face, especially such a young man who thinks one thing and says another. Huo Yingja was embarrassed and said, Grandpa Chi, I brought you good wine, which was collected by my grandfather. That was also given to me by your grandfather. Old man Chi said, don't leave at noon, eat here. Come on, let's talk about things outside. Old man Chi called Huo Yingja away, and Huo Yingja also had something to say to old man Chi. After all, Grandma Chi-san and old man Chi had a good relationship, and in terms of clan relations, they were close relatives. Chi Shu was old man Chi's cousin and was Chi Shu's elder. This time, Grandma Chi-san was going to country M, and she had to talk to old man Chi. Huo Yingja talked to old man Chi about this matter, while He Tian went to work. After finishing the work, He Tian washed her hands, took off her outer coat, and went to Professor Wang with a book and a dictionary. Haha, why are you here? During the Chinese New Year, you always went back after you were done. Professor Wang was curious and got up to pour a bowl of chrysanthemum honey water for He Tian. In winter, you will get angry. Chrysanthemum tea is a good product for relieving internal heat, and with the wild honey found in the mountains, it tastes especially good. He Tian took out books and dictionaries from her bulging school bag and said, "Professor Wang, I'm here to ask you for advice. I want you to teach me English." Professor Wang was surprised and asked, "Why did you think of learning English? The things you have in your hands now are all illegal. You have to be careful not to get into trouble." Although Professor Wang thinks it is good to learn a language, now is not a good time. He Tian looked at Professor Wang sincerely and said, "Professor Wang, I'm sorry, I can't tell you the real reason. It's not the time to tell you now, but I don't want to lie and deceive you. Please forgive me. In short, I will learn this soon, I'll need it later." Professor Wang was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Well, I won't ask any more. When the time comes to know, I will naturally know." She likes He Tianation's gentlemanly behavior. If you have a hard time and don't want to talk about it, you can make it clear that you can't talk about it, but don't lie. "Thank you, Professor Wang." He Tian smiled. She also liked Professor Wang's free and easy attitude. She will also become a learned woman and old lady in the future. To be a woman full of wisdom, as you age, not only the wrinkles on your face and the gray hair on your head will grow, but also the wisdom in your brain and the elegance of your body. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 339. 337. "Do you know Chinese pinyin?" Professor Wang asked. He Tian nodded and said, "Yes." "Yes," Professor Wang nodded. "Actually, English has the same rules as Chinese pinyin. As long as you find a few rules, you can learn words based on the phonetic symbols. Because it is a quick learning process, learn the phonetic symbols first and get twice the result with half the effort." Professor Wang opened the dictionary and explained to He Tian the phonetic symbols of words and several categories of memory. After Professor Wang's explanation, He Tian had a preliminary understanding and could pronounce the pronunciation of unknown words according to the method taught by Professor Wang. When learning phonetic symbols, Professor Wang's pronunciation is very accurate. He Tian can learn original and authentic English by studying with Professor Wang. Unknowingly, 2 hours passed and Professor Wang's mouth was dry. He Tian quickly got up and gave Professor Wang some chrysanthemum and honey water, brought it to Professor Wang, and said, "Drink tea, Professor Wang, thank you for your hard work." "Haha, I haven't lectured for a long time, and I can't stop once I lecture after drinking the water," Professor Wang said with emotion. "That's it for this morning. In the afternoon, you can read an article in the book according to what I said. Copy it once, write the phonetic symbols of all the words in the notebook, and then read it. If you encounter something you don't know, mark it and ask me tomorrow morning, and I will correct it for you." "Thank you, Professor Wang." He Tian agreed and went back to do her homework in the afternoon. It was almost time to make lunch, and Old Man Chi left them here to eat. He Tian stayed and was busy cooking with Professor Wang. Zhang Aijun was guarding outside, and Li Yunzong was busy washing vegetables and cooking with He Tian. When Old Man Chi heard that there were 4 more people outside, he also let them in for dinner. When they heard that the legendary hero was on the opposite side, they were all excited. After dinner, He Tian and Huo Yingzhi sat for a while before leaving. With so many people following him, He Tian could only get closer to Huo Yingzhi, and it was too embarrassing to hold hands. When he got home, He Tian wanted to study. He didn't know most of the words, so he started to look them up in the dictionary one by one. Huo Yingzhi poured a cup of hawthorn honey water, brought it to He Tian, and said, "Drink some to help digestion. I ate a lot of meat today, so it would be best to drink some hawthorn water for digestion." After He Tian finished her drink, she continued to read and talk. In front of Huo Yingzhi, she didn't want to think about it because she was worried that if she pronounced it wrong, Huo Yingzhi would laugh at her. If you don't read it out loud, how do I know you read it wrong? Huo Yingzhe asked with a muffled smile, wanting to save face and suffer the consequences. Then, I mispronounced it, you can't laugh at me, He Tian pouted and said, first giving Huo Yingzhe a vaccination. If Huo Yingzhe still laughed at her, He Tian would be angry. She started to get mad, and even she was scared. I won't laugh at you, Huo Yingzhe said, read it. If there is something wrong, I will correct it for you. 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U. He Tian read it carefully. He had a good memory and read it correctly. What should you recite first? Huo Yingzhe asked, how many times can you recite it? A. He Tian said the fourth tone, which was taught by Professor Wang. In this case, the throat must vibrate to read the charm of foreigners' letters. There seems to be something wrong. Read it again. Huo Yingzhe frowned slightly and pointed at He Tian. It was obviously right, why did Huo Yingzhe say it was wrong? But thinking that Huo Yingzhe had always been a top student, what the top student said was right, so he chose to believe Huo Yingzhe. A. He Tian read it again. Huo Yingzhe shook his head and said, it's still a little missing. Come on, look at me and let me see if your mouth shape is correct. If your mouth shape is wrong, the English you speak is not authentic. He Tian just wanted to learn authentic English. When she heard Huo Yingzhe's words, she quickly turned sideways and faced Huo Yingzhe and said, is that right? Huo Yingzhe put a hand gently on He Tian's shoulder and said, look at my mouth shape, Study hard, improve every day. Be a good kid who loves learning. It wasn't until Huo Yingzhe calmed down that He Tian said angrily, you just lied to me. I'm obviously very good at reading. Huo Yingzhe was unhappy. He looked at He Tian and said sternly, even if reading is important, I am also very important. I will leave tomorrow. If you don't look at me, you only know how to read. You don't know that I have how jealous of that book. If you ignore me, I will have to figure it out myself. Huo Yingzhe's tone and expression were naughty, as if he deserved a beating. Bad guy, He Tian scolded with a smile and slapped Huo Yingzhe's lean back. If you continue to be dishonest, I will immediately show you how a bad guy is made. Huo Yingzhe hugged He Tian, feeling a little excited again. What should I do? There are elders, there are bodyguards, there are so many light bulbs, what a misfortune. No matter, they are the only two in the room now anyway. He came all the way to visit He Tian, but he didn't want to just take a look. Of course, he also wanted to do something that all men like, especially young men. This year's tasks are more difficult and heavier, and he doesn't know if he can still get a holiday, so he cherishes this opportunity to meet. I don't expect time to stop, but I hope it will pass slower and let him enjoy the sweetness for a while longer. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 340. 338. But just as Huo Yingzhe hugged He Tian, he heard He Jingyu's voice coming from outside. Shuping, where is Yingzhe? He Jingyu asked loudly after returning home. He came down from the mountain and passed by the livestock team. He went inside and took a look. Huo Yingzhe was not in the livestock team. After returning home, I saw that my daughter's door was closed, and I didn't see Huo Yingzhe in the yard. He Jingyu guessed that Huo Yingzhe must be in his daughter's room, and the boss was unhappy. He was also dishonest under his nose, so he deliberately spoke loudly. Hearing He Jingyu's voice, Huo Yingzhe inside curled his lips like a frustrated little daughter-in-law and said, your father has started making a big stick to beat the Mandarin ducks again. You are the big stick. He Tian quickly covered Huo Yingzhe's mouth and said angrily, don't talk nonsense, my father will be angry if he hears it. Bai Shenshen's little hand was close at hand. Of course Huo Yingzhe would not let go of such a good opportunity and stuck out his tongue to lick the palm of He Tian's hand. Bad guy, He Tian quickly retracted her hand, her face even redder. When He Jingyu saw that Wang Shuping was silent, he quickly winked at her and signaled her to answer. Wang Shuping smiled and said, Yingzhe is teaching Tian how to read in the house. Oh, that's it, He Jingyu said with a smile. Yingzhe, Tian, come out, I'll bring you something delicious. Huo Yingzhe rolled his eyes. The most delicious food was right in front of him. He didn't want to eat anything else. Huo Yingzhe didn't want to pay attention to his future father-in-law, but He Tian couldn't help it. Hey, it's coming soon, He Tian said crisply, pulling Huo Yingzhe out. Huo Yingzhe looked listless and hopeless, which was very pitiful. He Tian stood up on tiptoes, kissed him on the face, and said, okay, Daddy called. He is worried about me too. Think about it, if we have a daughter in the future who is not yet an adult, there will be a man. If I tease your daughter in front of you, will you jump? Huo Yingzhe raised his eyebrows, thought about that scene, and said solemnly, I don't know how to jump, I will pick up that brat, beat him up, and throw him out. You also said that, which proves that my father is already very kind, He Tian shrugged, comparing his feelings to his own. Okay, Huo Yingzhe kissed He Tian on the face for the last time, and then went out with He Tian. Wang Shuping and He Jingyu were both familiar with it. When they saw their daughter's cute little appearance, they felt angry. Huo Yingzhe must have taken advantage of every opportunity. This brat? Tian, come here and help me cook. Wang Shuping smiled and pulled her daughter to the kitchen. It's cold now and there are so many people, so a lot of preparations need to be done. He Tian followed her mother to the kitchen. Yingzhe, come on, let's go to the next issue. He Jingyu greeted Huo Yingzhe. Huo Yingzhe's eyes were almost as old as his daughter's. It was so embarrassing. Okay, compared to his soft and cute sweetheart, his future father-in-law glared at him, which affected his mood. However, there is no way around this. Who told him to be He Tian's father? Huo Yingzhe was in a bad mood. When playing chess, his men were merciless and killed He Jingyu to the death. He Jingyu became even more angry. Boy, you are so unethical. I want to marry my daughter, but I don't know how to please him as my future father-in-law. I will definitely make things difficult for him in the future and keep my daughter until she is 28 before becoming a monk. One afternoon, I heard the argument between He Jingyu and Huo Yingzhe. He Tian, who was in the kitchen, was a little worried and asked, Mom, there won't be a fight in there, right? Leave them alone, Wang Shuping said. Tian, when did Yingzhe leave? He Tian felt a little disappointed and said, he will leave tomorrow morning. He has to take the evening train. Okay, I'll bring something to Yingzhe then, Wang Shuping said with a smile. By the way, are you learning English now so that you can go to the United States later? Okay, yes, I want to go to the United States. He Tian smiled. Otherwise, Grandma would be very worried if she arrived there alone and was unfamiliar with the place. Well, you might as well go along, Wang Shuping said. This is a big deal and it shouldn't be affected. Don't worry. Furthermore, Wang Shuping believed that the Huo family would not harm them. Overseas relations, then we also have to look at what kind of overseas relations it is. Now Qi Shu is gambling with almost all his wealth. If he continues to embarrass his family, it will make Chinese people abroad even more heartbroken. You can catch spies, this is for safety. But you can't say that someone is a spy or a traitor just because they have normal overseas relationships. You must know that in the past, many overseas Chinese generously helped solve problems and donated money and clothes, hoping that the motherland could drive away the invaders as soon as possible. Many of them have also made contributions. Wang Shuping smiled and said, my daughter has grown up and thinks about issues more comprehensively. That's right, I can't just grow a head but not a brain. He Tian smiled and said, Mom, when I go to country M, I will bring you a gift back. Hearing this, Wang Shuping stopped what she was doing and said with a smile, "Daughter, we don't have money and we can't afford some things, so don't buy them for now. We will buy them when we have money later. When we get to Chishu's house, you can't ask people for things." He Tian smiled and hurriedly explained, "Of course I won't speak, but with grandma's temperament, she will definitely prepare it for me. As for me, I will go to the place where grandpa used to go to school and pick up two for you. Maple leaves, make them into bookmarks and give them to you and dad." "Yeah," Wang Shuping nodded, "you can have this." Wang Shuping doesn't want her to be too worldly, but she also doesn't want her daughter to live without fireworks. Such a daughter is quite good. Wang Shuping is extremely grateful that during He Tianation's most important year, a strong and wise woman like Grandma Chi San was by her daughter's side. This has a great impact on my daughter's growth throughout her life and will be useful for her whole life. The mother and daughter were talking and laughing, and they were completely different from the two grown men playing chess in the living room. He Jingyu was angry that Huo Yingja had taken advantage of his daughter, but his daughter liked this man, and as a father, he could only be angry. Huo Yingja felt aggrieved. His future father-in-law interrupted his good deeds, and he felt angry. The two of them are in a battle of spirits. You come and I go back and forth, it's so lively. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 341. 339. Grandma Chi San, always smiling, looking at this and that. Oh, these two, one big and one small, are just like her grandson and son, so lively and lively. Grandma Chi San was passing He Jingyu, and Huo Yingja thought of his son and grandson on the other side of the world. From Wang Shuping and He Tian, we can see the situation of their daughter-in-law and granddaughter. Although the daughter-in-law is a Westerner, it is good for the Chi family to have children, and Grandma Chi San does not mind. It wasn't until He Tian and Wang Shuping had finished cooking that the two men over there stopped fighting. He Jingyu was angry, took out the wine that he was usually reluctant to drink, and lectured Huo Yingja on the wine table. In the end, He Jingyu, who was not good at drinking, drank first and fell down. He Tian pinched Huo Yingja where no one else could see him, and whispered, "You are a junior, so you can't give in to my father. Just play chess in the afternoon, and drink in the evening. You won't give in at all, ah? We are juniors, you have to respect my dad." Huo Yingja suddenly realized that he understood a little bit what the sly look in his future father-in-law's eyes meant when he was drinking just now. If you can't play chess, it doesn't matter. If you can't drink enough, that's even better, it's just the right time to use the bitter meat trick. This is digging a hole and jumping in. He Tian will definitely blame him if he is drunk. Zhang is very old, and Huo Yingja has seen it today. He Tian was angry. If Huo Yingja quibbled and refuted, He Tian would definitely be angry. He could only admit it and said, "I don't want to create opportunities so that we can get along more." Bad guy. He Tianation's face heated up slightly after hearing this, "Then you can't do this to my dad again." I know, Huo Yingja promised, "I'll never do it again." Tianbao, I'm leaving tomorrow. Let's go for a walk. He Tian looked at a few people standing in the yard not far away, frowned and said, "Are you sure the adults will agree?" Following He Tianation's eyes, Huo Yingja saw the people protecting him and felt depressed. If you are not married and have no formal certificate, you are in trouble. If they get married, he will get into He Tianation's bed and no one can pull him out, not even his father-in-law. Okay, let's talk in the yard, Huo Yingja said reluctantly. Even if he got outside, he couldn't do anything, and it was still cold. It would be bad if He Tian got frozen. He Tian packed up and saw the chessboard and said, "Let's play chess." "You can do it too," Huo Yingzhe asked. "Don't underestimate me, maybe I can make you regret your move twice," He Tian said bravely. In fact, this was all a joke. Even his father was not Huo Yingzhe's opponent, let alone He Tian. How sweet is the drunkard's intention not to drink. She wanted to play chess, but she just wanted to stay with Huo Yingzhe for a while. With her parents around, Huo Yingzhe couldn't enter her room, but they could chat in the living room. "Okay, let me see your chess skills." Huo Yingzhe smiled and set up the chessboard. Although He Tian is not a bad chess player, he is definitely not a master and is indeed not as good as He Jingyu. In just a few minutes of playing, He Tian had already regretted her move 3 times. Huo Yingzhe held his chin and looked at He Tian, speechless. He had promised to make him regret his move twice. After playing a few games, Huo Yingzhe was tortured and decided not to play chess with He Tian again. It was too torturous. 3 steps forward, 1 step back. He can't even play chess. Seeing Huo Yingzhe dumbfounded by her daughter's bullying, Wang Shuping smiled, heated some chicken cakes, made chrysanthemum tea, and said, "Tian, go wash your hands and have some snacks." He Tian is thinking hard and competing with herself. "After hearing what my mother said, I threw down the chess piece in my hand and said, 'No more, no more, you won't let me go at all.'" This time, Huo Yingzhe was even more dumbfounded. This was not called giving in. Zhang Aijun and Li Yunzong on the side looked at Huo Yingzhe with great sympathy. Originally, they envied Huo Yingzhe for finding such a good-looking and virtuous partner, but now they are not envious anymore. This He Tian is also quite tormenting. "What do you know? This is a little fun between the two of us," Huo Yingzhe whispered. "Go and wash your hands, or you won't eat." Wang Shuping made some brown sugar ginger water for the 4 people outside to warm their bodies, and also gave some chicken cakes. Hey, it's not easy even in the cold weather. Huo Yingzhe washed his hands, drank tea, and ate snacks, secretly deciding in his heart that when He Tian wanted to play chess again in the future, he would find an excuse to avoid it, or find other things to distract He Tian. Huo Yingzhe even suspected that He Tian did it on purpose and wanted to avenge his father-in-law. In Huo Yingzhe's extremely sad eyes, He Tian finished her snack, rinsed her mouth, and went back to the house to sleep. Seeing He Tian disappear in front of my eyes, I suddenly felt that the way He Tian was cheating just now was quite cute. But after looking at the chessboard, he decided to put it away and go back to the house to sleep. After breakfast the next morning, Huo Yingzhe started packing his things and getting ready to leave. When I came back, I was given a ride in Huai City. Now when I leave, I can only take the ox cart in Kijia village. Village chief Chi, He Jingyu went to see him off. He Tian wanted to go, but Huo Yingzhe stopped her. "It's so cold outside, don't go see me off," Huo Yingzhe refused. He kept coming back and forth for such a long time, and it made him feel bad to be frozen. He Tian listened and said with a smile, "It's okay, I'm wearing a big fur coat." "It's also very cold," Huo Yingzhe said, "don't make me worry, okay?" He Jingyu couldn't bear to leave his daughter and said, "Tian, don't go, it's too cold." Okay, He Tian could only agree under the gaze of everyone. Huo Yingzhe went out with everyone. He Tian looked in front of the door and watched Huo Yingzhe leave. A few people with the help of fellow villagers left some money as compensation, and also left some for the He family. After all, they ate here for 2 or 3 days. Seeing that the person was gone, He Tian went into her room to sort out her emotions. At this time, the Snake King came out, a shining little golden snake. "Humph! I finally left," the Snake King muttered. "Today I am going to the cave in the back mountain." He Tian nodded and said, "Okay, since there is no one on guard tonight, I can take you there. By the way, I haven't seen you for so long, What are you doing in the barrier? Practice Snake King replied, I am very busy. The Snake King could not tell He Tian Tian about those grievances. Because when I say it, I burst into tears. The Snake King keeps tossing around in the barrier, human form, snake form, and now he can vaguely find a pattern, but this pattern is not reliable and sometimes fails. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 342. 340. Yes, the Snake King has a heavy responsibility, and he can't do it if he doesn't work hard. There are still 2 thunder tribulations, and there is no room for sloppiness. Work hard, He Tian Tian encouraged. I will also study hard recently and strive to achieve success as soon as possible. Starting from tomorrow, she will study hard and cannot let everyone down. She wants to be a top student. She wants to counterattack. The Snake King nodded and said, you have to work hard. By the way, have you seen the little spinning turtle? He Tian Tian asked. This time, she and Huo Yingzhe had few opportunities to be alone together, and she also forgot about the little spinning turtle. It wanted to see me, but I was very busy and didn't see it, the Snake King said proudly. Only it knew the real situation. At that time, it was practicing in the barrier wearing a belly band. How could it come out to see the little spinner turtle? It's too detrimental to its tall image. If you don't come out, you won't come out. It's rare for a little turtle to come here once. It's so unkind for you to do this, He Tian Tian complained. Remember, from now on, the visitor is a guest. At this moment, He Tianatian's door suddenly opened, and someone came in. He Tian Tian took a closer look and saw that it was Huo Yingzhe. Huo Yingzhe closed the door and walked to He Tian Tian. The Snake King was also stunned. Isn't this annoying person gone? Why are you back? Because Huo Yingzhe was holding He Tian Tian, it could no longer get close to He Tian Tian. It fell on He Tianatian's quilt in mid-air and could only crawl into the bed stiffly. Brother Yingzhe, why are you back? He Tian Tian asked, very curious. Huo Yingzhe took out the small spin turtle from his pocket and said, Tian Tian, this is a good thing. Just hold it and it will protect you. When He Tian Tian saw it was a little turtle, he smiled and said, Brother Yingzhe, I'm safe here. You don't have to worry about me. You can take it with you. You are in the research institute. With it by your side, I can not worried. No, I'll leave it to you, Huo Yingzhe said. I am a man and I have ways to protect myself. After saying that, he stuffed the little spin turtle into He Tianatian's hand, hugged He Tian Tian and kissed her, then turned and left. He Tian Tian was very moved. This was Huo Yingzhe's love for her. Because she was safe with the Snake King around, she was determined not to have the little spin turtle. He Tian Tian chased him out, making sure to return the little turtle to Huo Yingzhe. Master is so infatuated, the little turtle's voice sounded in He Tianatian's mind. He Tian Tian smiled and said, yes, because of this, I can't accept it anymore. I'm safe. I also hope you can protect Huo Yingzhe well. The little spin turtle nodded and said, I will. He Tian Tian ran very fast and caught up with Huo Yingzhe at the entrance of the village. Not far away are several ox carts, and everyone is waiting for Huo Yingzhe. Brother Yingzhe, take it. If you don't want it, I'll hang myself. He Tian Tian was so anxious that he kept talking. He skipped crying and fussing and hanged himself directly. Be obedient, Tianbao. Huo Yingzhe rubbed her head and comforted her softly. He Tian Tian felt guilty, but she couldn't say it. She was quite angry and said, do you want it or not? If you don't take it back, I will die for you. Tianbao. Huo Yingzhe smiled bitterly. It seemed that the little turtle didn't lie last time, and Tian Tian really threatened her with death. If you are worried about me, you can just arrange for more people to protect me, He Tian Tian said. This little spin turtle is originally yours, and it can only play a major role when it is by your side. I am here, and there are so many people helping me. Me, it's good if I don't bully others, no one dares to bully me. Over there, He Jingyu came over and asked, what are you talking about? He Tiantian quickly stuffed the little turtle into Huo Yingjia's pocket and said, don't let my dad see it. Huo Yingjia was extremely moved. His sweet baby still put his safety first. Okay, then Huo Yingjia had no choice but to take it with him. Fortunately, the Zhou family was about to fall and they probably wouldn't cause trouble. As long as there is no threat from the top, He Tiantian can handle it. Huo Yingjia got on the bullock cart. He Tiantian was at the entrance of the village, watching the bullock cart slowly leave. The shadow became smaller and smaller until it disappeared. Somehow, He Tiantian thought of a song at this moment. I'm sending you outside the small village. I have something to tell you. After He Tiantian came back, he returned to his room. Grandma Chi-san and Wang Shuping looked at each other, shook their heads, and neither followed her in. Let your daughter experience and understand the sourness of parting. He Tiantian went to the room, took out her book, and started studying English. Because Huo Yingjia interrupted, He Tiantian actually forgot about the Snake King. At this time, the Snake King had already taken on a human form and could not change back. He was suffocating under the covers, not daring to make any sound, lest He Tiantian would find out and see his embarrassed look. After studying for more than an hour, He Tianatian's eyes felt a little sore. She rubbed her eyes and got up to walk around the room. Suddenly, He Tiantian found that her quilt was a little messy, and there was a small bulge, as if a pillow had been stuffed inside. However, the pillow is at the head of the bed, not under the quilt. What is in there? Ah! Is that thing still moving? He Tiantian didn't know why. It couldn't be someone else's puppy or kitten, right? When she thought of those puppies, kittens, and cats that had not been cleaned up, in her bed, He Tiantian quickly stepped forward and lifted the quilt. It didn't matter. He Tiantian was stunned. Ah! He Tiantian shouted, so scared. Why is there a little baby under her quilt? The little baby blinked on the bed and was also blinded. Wang Shuping heard He Tianatian's voice outside and asked hurriedly, what's wrong? Tiantian. In my room, in my room. He Tiantian stammered, but before he could finish speaking, he was frightened by the scene in front of him again. The little doll turned into a snake. A glittering snake. This is the Snake King. Bang! Wang Shuping opened the door, what's wrong? He Tiantian turned around and covered her with the quilt. Nothing, He Tiantian quickly explained, I just saw a mouse. The Snake King in bed, 2 lines of tears, kept flowing down. What a bad time. He Tiantian must have seen his embarrassed look now, it will still have the face to see people in the future. Wang Shuping looked around and found no trace of rats. She frowned and said, the house is very clean. How could there be rats? Don't be afraid. Wait for your father to come back and get some rat poison. Yeah, He Tiantian smiled unnaturally, I know, actually the mice are not very scary, they just came out suddenly and scared me. That's right, if you suddenly see it, you will indeed scream. Wang Shuping smiled, looked at the messy quilt, and walked over to help He Tiantian fold the quilt.